The 2-point conversion might be the most misunderstood decision in all of football. And this game explains it perfectly. Now, the Falcons need a touchdown badly as they're trailing by 14 points late in the game. Now, Bijan feels this defensive end peek inside and bounces it out to the left for an easy touchdown. But the real question is, do you kick the PAT or do you go for 2? Now, I asked you guys about this exact same scenario a few days ago in a community post, and 64% of you said that you are kicking the PAT here, and it's a no-brainer. But I couldn't help but notice that the announcers are saying something completely different, that the analytics say this, the analytics say that. So in order to get to the bottom of this, I watched every single 2-point conversion from the 2024 season, and I came up with some data that's going to be pretty interesting to you guys. So out of 144 attempts, the league was able to complete 60 of these and convert and get the extra 2 points, which means that there's a 41% chance on any given 2-point conversion that the team's going to score it. Now that's just a league-wide average, and sometimes it's going to be higher on, but for simplicity, we're just going to go with this 41% for this whole video. But the Falcons decided to go for 2, and they came out in this 12 personnel set, meaning that these 2 to the left side of the screen are both wide receivers. There's 2 tight ends and 1 running back in the game. And when they motion this guy out into the left, they're trying to evaluate the defense to see what kind of scheme the Bucs are in. And you can see that this motion created a bit of uncertainty within the Bucs, just off of how many hand signals there are. 31 is pointing all over the place, pointing to the corner. And in a scheme that appears to be some sort of man coverage, the Buccaneers do a good job of getting bodies on bodies and making sure that everything's covered up. But let's look at the scheme from the Falcons. They ran 2 guys on arrow routes, and 87 ran a sit route over the ball. Now the thing is, on any 2-point conversion, really on any route concept in general, the core premise is that you want to run your routes away from each other. So that way the defense has to cover the maximum area of the field. So if that were to be on normal down and distance, camera get me right here, like say it would be, if you were to run this flood concept, the spacing your routes out at different vertical depths on the sideline. Now, when you're going for a 2-point conversion and the end zone is right here, the only choice that you have is to space out these guys horizontally. So that way, maybe one guy's all the way on the wide pylon, you'll have one guy over the ball, you have one in the middle. It becomes clear that this guy ran the wrong route when it cuts to the quarterback's face and he said, "You're supposed to run a whip route." And then coming back to the all-22 version of the field, you can see where the wide open crevice is in the middle of the field here if number 8 were to run the correct route pattern. But hold on, why were they even going for 2 in the first place? So we've already established that they have a 41% chance of making it. So if your team is down 14 points at the very end of a game, you have 2 choices after you score that touchdown. You can either kick it or you can go for 2. Now, kicking is obviously going to result you in being down 7 points. Now, there is a scenario where he misses the extra point and you're still down 8, but for simplicity, we're just going to say it's 100% on PATs. The real interesting scenario is right here when you go for 2, because there's 2 things that could happen, granted, if you convert or if you miss. And as we established earlier, it's a 41% chance that we're going to be able to convert this, which would take us to only trailing by 6 points, whereas missing is trailing by 8. And if there's a 41% chance that you end up converting this, that means that there's a 59% chance that you're going to miss, which doesn't really sound too good. But let's say that 59% of the chance happened and we end up being down 8 points at this point. And we were to score another touchdown. We have the choice to kick it, or we could go for 2. Now, nobody in their right mind is going to be kicking this one, because even if you get it, you're still going to be down 1. So this is not the right option here. But if you convert this, you're in overtime. Whereas if you miss again, you're down 2. Now stay with me here. I know this is a lot of numbers, but if you were to miss this first time, and it's a 59% chance that happens, and you were to miss this second time, and it's a second 59% chance that this happens, then 59% times 59% is the percentage of time when going for 2 twice would result in you losing the game. Which means that you have a 34% chance of straight up losing the games because you missed both of the 2-point conversions. However, you have a 41% chance to win this game if you're down 6 and score this same extra TD, because now you can score the field goal and win the game. So in this scenario where you go for 2 the first time and the second time, we're going to be able to win this game 41% of the time. Now that's of course considering that we're able to actually score both of the touchdowns necessary and stop the other team from scoring. But just taking these 2-point conversions into isolation, if we score this first one, it's going to be 41% of the time that we're winning this game. The other 34% of the time, that's going to result in us losing, and we're going to lose by 2 points, and the whole internet's going to call us stupid because we went for 2 twice when we could have just kicked both field goals and went to overtime. But what they don't tell you is that 25% is going to remain with us going into overtime when we missed the first one and converted the second one, putting us into this overtime category. Now note that this is different than kicking the ball on the first time and being down 7, because if you kick it the first time, now you have a 41% chance of winning and a 59% chance of straight up losing the game by 1 point. And it completely eliminates this 25% of time when you are able to play in overtime while still missing a 2-point conversion. So the math is clear. It's definitely better to go for 2 twice than to kick it twice, or even to kick it once and then go for 2 at the very end of the game. And yet it is programmed into all of our minds as football fans that you don't want to be too risky, and it's not always a smart way, but it does pay off. It's a numbers game. It's a game of statistics. But this did not work out very well for the Falcons. Let's get back into this film. So after failing the 2-point conversion attempt, the Falcons are down 8 points and they need to get back in this game somehow. They're able to get an interception, which is crazy. Baker Mayfield, that's the one thing you can't do here, is force it down the field. I don't know why they're not just running run plays, to be honest. That's what I would have been calling as a coach. Like, they were borderline in field goal range. Now this was a pretty standard coverage rotation from the Falcons as well. They start out in this 2-high safety snap, but it easily could look like man coverage, especially considering that both of the corners started out in press technique. Now when they're dropping out to their bail and getting to this cover 4 with 4 deep defenders and 3 underneath, it really just allows this nickel to expand in his curl flat zone and get underneath this dropout route on this 2nd and 10, just completely going off of the quarterback's eyes and feeling where that ball is going to end up coming, along with knowing where the weak spot is in the cover 4. But if this would have been man-to-man, that dropout route probably would have been wide open, because Baker saw that the corner is way on top of the wide receiver, and when he stops, it should be wide open. Although it was not man-to-man, Baker. You have to see the safeties. So anyways, the Falcons get the ball back, and sure enough, they are able to score another touchdown miraculously. Or wait, this isn't the touchdown yet. They ran this little option route, got in the middle of the field. That dude got tackled hard. Now, I think that came open because whoever this linebacker is at the very bottom of the screen, he expanded too far, which opened up the window for 85 to be able to catch this ball. But anyways, we're on to the next play. This is the one where they scored an empty with 3 receivers to the right and 2 to the left. They motion in this X receiver on the left side. They're running mesh across the middle, and they're hitting number 8 on this wheel route, and he really should have dropped it, but they called him in. He was bobbling though. You got to catch that with your hand, not with your palms. You got to squeeze that mug and get it here. But hey, they called him in, and 6 points is 6 points. But the thing is, they need 8 points. So we're going to this 2-point conversion. So they come to this 2-point conversion, and it looks like the Bucs are about to send the house. They have every single defender lined up on the line of scrimmage like they're about to get off to the quarterback so quickly. So you have to, if you're the Falcons here, you have to have a plan to be able to navigate this. Have a hot throw so that way if they do blitz, you can replace the blitz right where the defense left, have a receiver come right there, throw it to him, and it's complete touchdown. Now it's tie game. We can play for overtime. This is the 25% of time we were talking about earlier. So when 8 comes in motion, you can see that it's man-to-man, but the defense does a great job of passing off these initial crossing routes again. You can see that the corner at the top of the screen is giving this little hand motion saying, hey, you switch, and they're able to trade this off instantly. So the offense was hoping that they were going to be able to run out here and use these 2 routes as pick routes so that the defense wouldn't be able to fight through all this traffic, allowing to an easy throw out to the walk-in touchdown. You're not going to stop it by having a defender who's Superman and who can squeeze through all of this traffic, because you have to remember that not only are the wide receivers running these routes, there's man-to-man defensive backs guarding them as well. So it is now 4 bodies in the way. So this guy who's playing man-to-man here, when he tracks, he's going to have to fight through all of this to get to his man, which is just too big of an ask for a guy, because at this point in time, he also has some sort of run fit if they were to hand this off and he has to go. So it's a lot of stuff for him to track. But by talking to the corner and telling the corner, hey, instead of guarding this crossing route, you just spin off and cut this, and I'll spin and cut your guy. Now, it's pretty simple for them to be able to do it as long as the DBs are able to talk on the fly and say, trade, okay, I'm back here playing zone. It's really play man-to-man on who becomes into your zone. Nick Saban came up with this. He called it the banjo technique. As a DB, you really want to be on this low hip because now you're in the passing window for the quarterback to try and complete this to the wide receiver. Whereas on any other part of the field, if this were not to be the end zone, you really would not want to do that because the quarterback could throw it way over the top like these, and now you just got blurred when you're over here playing underneath. So it really is a free chance to get an interception. You just got to have the nuts to turn your eyes and then just get your eyes back, and you can probably steal you one if you're out of phase. But the Falcons were really not very organized on this play because you can see number 1 at the bottom of the screen. He's taking his time jogging off the ball, doing a little slow release when the whole house is coming at the quarterback. You got to go faster, my boy. I hate when wide receivers say that they can take their time on their releases in the red zone because that's only true some of the time. If the defense is blitzing, you got to be able to get out of your route fast and be able to catch the ball for your QB. Because, like, look, if he were to run this slant right now and he wouldn't have been tiptoeing, there's a chance that the quarterback would have said, okay, they banjoed it. Let me at least turn and get the ball out of my hands instead of getting sacked on a play that's supposed to send us into overtime, bro. So as you can see, the Falcons were not very productive on their 2-point conversions. Both of the times, it was because of their own malfunctions why they were not able to score as much. They're somehow able to get off of the field, get the ball back, drive back down the field, and next thing you know, they are kicking a field goal to win this game by 1 point at the very end of the game. Now, are there things that teams can do to increase their likelihood of converting these 2-point conversions? I think absolutely. So there's a few takeaways from this. Number 1, it is better to go for 2 points than most people believe it to be. Just because football's always been played in this way that is so risk averse, is that necessarily the best way to play it? Why not take more risk? Now the thing is, if you're the head coach of the Falcons, you have to know that you're going to get some criticism for not kicking the extra points there when you could have put your team in overtime. Now, they were able to come back and win the game, so it didn't end up biting them in the butt, but it really could have came back to hurt them on paper. But what really would have hurt them worse is if it would have been a close game and they lost by 1 point when they could have gone for 2 earlier in the game to take the win. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to think long term. There's 3 points that could really revolutionize a 2-point conversion game, and not a lot of NFL teams are doing it. The first thing they have to do is learn from college teams. College teams practice 2-point conversions so much more often because there's always a chance that if a game goes into double overtime, triple overtime, it's going to come down to a 2-point conversion fest. And so coaches have way more plays lined up that they've practiced because in that Penn State game a few years ago, it was like 8 overtimes. And now all of a sudden you have to have 8 quality 2-point conversion plays so that way you're able to keep switching it up so the defense isn't guarding you the whole time. Number 2 is increasing the amount of dedicated practice time 2-point conversions get. Because as we established, if you're able to convert 2-point conversions 41% of the time, when you go for 2 points twice at the end of the game, it's going to result in a 34% chance that you outright lose the game. But if you can increase this number from 41 to even up to 45%, which was the league average in 2025, the same chances would be 0.55 times 0.55, which puts you at a 30% chance of outright losing the game. So you can see that by practicing a little bit more, it can give you a big percentage increase in how much you're able to actually take over this football game. And the third thing I think coaches need to do is be a little bit more creative in their play calling in general. And when I was watching all these, I found this one clip from the Patriots in 2024. They're playing the Dolphins. They have a really bad handoff. It's a fumble. Christian Gonzalez picks up this ball and is running down the right sideline. Yeah, shout out to Christian Gonzalez, CG0. The whole season he's been going. Really his whole career he's been balling. But anyways, we're here to talk about the 2-point conversion. They run a jailbreak screen as a 2-point conversion at number 9. He tosses it back to the running back on a lateral and he runs in the box to score? Now the 2-point conversion is the perfect time to try a hook and ladder play because there's no pressure on the turnover margin piece of it. But if you want to see me talk more about laterals, click on this video right here. Thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. Seriously, all glory to God, all glory to the King. Y'all be easy. Have a great day. I love y'all, man. Yeah!